Awesome. Welcome back for another live. Hope you guys doing great. I know it's been a while. I haven't did this lives because I was traveling to India, and now I'm back to Canada and back to live, so that you guys won't miss anything what's happening in Windsor market. My name is Aditya Soma. We share a lot of tips how to achieve financial freedom using real estate as a vehicle, and of course, we share a lot of tips for real estate agents how to be a successful realtor um, using the real estate as a vehicle. So, and also with this lives, I do these lives every Thursday, unless if I'm traveling. Most of the times, every Thursday, bringing some awesome guests to share more knowledge, not only just what I know, what I'm learning, but also from guests who have achieved certain success that you can learn from. So that's how today I have a special guest for you, and who is none other than Mohit. Hey Mohit, welcome again.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here, and I'm really excited to dig deep into your story, because not many immigrants will be at a stage where they can get into real estate um, when they're new to Canada,
Yeah.
and go deeper into their venture. Start raising money, start buying second property, property. So what you have done is amazing, and I'm pretty sure many people who are watching this can learn a lot from your experience and from your journey. So welcome. I'm really excited for this show. And if you guys watching this, and if you have any questions, like I always say, if you don't ask, you won't get answers for. So any questions that in your mind, let us know in the comments below. We'll touch on them, while Mohit sharing his journey. So brother, yeah, tell me, what's your story for people who don't know you.
My story is like it's pretty no, similar to how everyone else started in Canada. I came to Canada in 2016. I came to Windsor in University of Windsor. So I had few friends here already in Canada. Some of them were in Australia. So initial plan was to go to US, but for some reason I'm like the financially it didn't make sense to go there, so I chose Canada in there. And then I went chose University of Windsor. One, it was very affordable city, and then it just kind of I did my X and O's and it makes sense. I'm like, okay, I'll go there. So I flew in there. Like then I thought like I'll just come and do Uber here, and then but at that time, didn't realize the Wi-Fi wouldn't work out, whatnot. But I found one person, lady from Detroit, and then I started talking to her in the plane. She dropped me home. She didn't have a map either, so we both kind of figured out where the university is in Windsor. So that's how the journey started. But I think that kind of little instance speaks of the kind of journey I was about to have in Canada. So starting from there, I started in my master's for automotive engineering. And then from there on, I only used to have two classes in a week, so 6 hours of class in a week. So I started working in Walmart within 1 week of landing in Canada. And then after that, I'm like, I had so much time. Like, what should I do? And then I just started, googling stuff, see what pops up. And then there's an online ad that was going on, like, hey, like if you are a student, you can learn your business, learn to run your own business in Canada during summertime, so your break time. I'm like, wow, like this seems to be a good opportunity. I had no
Don't
idea
tell
what.
me it's MLM.
No, it's not. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. But yeah, so I applied for that. They contacted me. Went like I think 5 6 rounds of interview. Sat one on one with them, and they kind of explained me the business model, and I didn't understand any of it. All I knew is like, okay, I don't have to pay a lot. It's just $200, and then they charge most of their money through royalties when we actually do the business. So what business was? It was with College Pro Painters. Now they shut down their painting division. They still do the window cleaning part, but it's only for the students. And then you
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, you do it for during the summertime, and then you just move on from it. So
So was that in Windsor?
yeah, that was in Windsor. Yes,
You
yes.
know, I have like even one of my agent clerk.
Uh,
He also started with the same way, and actually my mentors,
hmm.
Cassidy and Matt, they also started with the same. The student works paint.
Oh, student works. Yes, yeah, it's the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
concept. Yeah,
same
exact same
concept.
concept.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Glad to hear.
yeah.
So, what happened next?
So I signed up with them, and then I had no idea at that point how to run the business. Obviously in India, nobody ever paints themselves. You always have someone to do it as well. No idea about it. And then and then they called me in for a first training module. So basically, how the business model works from January to April, for the first 4 months of the year, you do marketing. You do, like, you go door knock, you do flyers, online marketing, any sort of way you can get the work. You door knock, and then people will call you. You go give them estimate how much it's going to cost. If they say yes, you book the work, and then you plan it out for the summertime, because you can only do the work here in the summertime, especially
Yeah.
for the exterior and all that. So that's how the business model worked. So they trained us in how to do the sales, how to do door knocking, reach out to people and whatnot. So initially it was a struggle, because I've never seen snow. So, and then going out door knocking, especially the very first time, and you were still struggling with the accent of it. Someone would say something to you, you don't really good. And then on top of that, you were just learning the business, so you had no idea about the business as well. So I remember initially I would go and door knock, and most of people will say no, like how it works with sales. But for the most, and then if someone does say yes, or show some interest, they'll ask me a bunch of questions which I have no idea about. So I'll try to fake my way into it and then get caught somewhere middle way through. But a lot of people did appreciate the fact that I was putting the effort into learning it. And then I eventually just started booking work. So in my first year, I ended up doing almost one 125K worth of work in just 4 months. And that
Wow.
pretty much, yeah, that pretty much paid off all my tuition fee in my second semester itself. And then also saved enough money for any sort of recurring expenses that came after that.
Wow, man, that's very few students who go through this kind of journey. I wish I
Yes.
started that way because, that's a great sales skills that you learn there.
No, it's one of the, like, I think one of the best things happened to me in my lifetime. That
So
journey.
they teach you all the skills, right? Like,
Everything from top to bottom: how to scale a business, how to hire people, how to fire people, how to do marketing, how to reach out to
wow,
university and college students to hire them. So I used to hire marketers. So some of my classmates, I would hire them, and some people for in general through Kijiji or any other Facebook medium, that like someone would apply. You learn how to put up your ads, how to filter out candidates, how to do interview, like just top to bottom.
wow.
Like, yeah, even though it looks like a business which is very unorganized, but they teach it in a very organized way. And if you are someone who can make use of it, because I knew some of my seniors in college pro, they were like running business of like 500,000, which is crazy in like 4 or 5 months. How do you do this kind of business? So there were tools in there that help you build up from there on. So I did that for 2 years. And then I eventually graduated from the university. And from there on, then I went on to join Amazon. So like I had an opportunity whether I continue this business for another year, like go to the next level. So in second year, we almost did like over 200,000 in sales. And then I'm like, at that point, I was like, okay, I've done it for a while, I want to try something new. And you already reach a point where like, okay, I have enough savings off, so I can, start maybe some other business. I was looking into like maybe buying some sort of food franchise. But then nothing would work out, because I was just in process of getting my PR at that point. So a lot of them would require a PR. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for PR for another 6 months. Let's just try this Amazon thing, because I know one of my friend tried for Amazon, he didn't get through, and then he shared that story with me. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna clear this interview. And then yeah, luck would have it. So I did clear the interview, ended up in Amazon. Then I'm like, okay, no, now what do I do? Like now I had to move to GTA. I'm like, okay, I'll run business one more year along with Amazon. So the good thing about Amazon work, it was only 4 days a week. So it did
Mhm.
allow me a lot of time, and 3 days was a lot of time for me, because the amount of work we were putting in beforehand, 3 days used to be like, oh, that's so much
So
time.
you're still doing the student work paintings,
Yes, the college pro, like
the
same
college.
concept.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I did that but not a huge scale. That I limited my business to very like specific places. So I would just get calls through the company portal. Hey, we have some work for you. Why don't you come have a look? I'll go on the weekend. Tell them, hey, this is how much it's gonna cost. So I became very picky in terms of kind of work we were picking. So I knew it was high margin, and at the same time doesn't require that much effort, because I didn't have that much time. So I hired sorry, I had two international students from the GTA, taught them everything top to bottom how to do the business. So they used to do the work on weekends. I would drop them sometime before work, and then pick them up after work. And then that's the kind of way we did it for third year. And then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna call it quit, because it's just not enough time for me to do it, and I wasn't doing justice to the customers as well. I'm like, okay, let me just focus on this Amazon. From there on, I went to
So
as
Amazon
a
was your work, like job.
yeah, Yeah, Amazon. I was working full time there, 4 days a week. So then then I, so by that, so when I, as soon as I got my, so within 6 months in Amazon, I got my PR because PR was already in work. So as soon as I got my PR, I bought my first house within 20 days after getting PR. So I already in process. I did the bank work already, and then figured out like how the mortgage part works, like in detail. So planned it out very well. So within 20 days of getting PR, I bought my first house, and then put it on rent, and then this opportunity
Okay,
came
okay,
with.
hold on.
Okay.
That's little crazy for a lot of new people who are watching, right? Like, so
Yeah.
let's talk about that first property.
Okay.
So, first of all, you're working in GTA,
Yes.
and um, tell us a little bit more on what is your first property, how much was the price, where did
Hmm.
you get the money from,
Hmm.
just a little bit more detail instead of
Okay.
just you got your first property before we jump into the next one,
Yeah.
because that would
Because
help a lot of
yeah. Hmm.
new people to get ideas
Yeah.
on
Hmm.
because I'm pretty sure there is like so many viewers who are watching this lives, or are still new, want to buy their first property.
So since I was doing business, I had saved a lot at that
Mhm.
time. So I was helping my family back home as well, and then cleared up all my education that whatever I had from the bank. And then so even after that, I had a good chunk of saving. So it was just, I was only looking for an opportunity, and then
Mhm.
along with Amazon income, only supplemented that. So basically, in my like pretty much 2 years of working in Amazon, I never used my Amazon income. Always saved it. So my first property, I bought it in Windsor for
Mhm.
293. It was in
Mhm.
South Windsor near St. Clair College. 6 bedroom house. It was newly renovated, nice, like a nice bungalow, and then basement was fully renovated as
Yep.
well.
Mhm.
Ample opportunity to improve the property itself. So I got that property for 293. Put 20% down since I had the funds from my business ventures that I was running at that time. So
So
got that.
20% down, which is like 60,000.
Correct. So we did that in our very first property. So that's when, and then from there on, we started. I'm like, and then
Hold on.
yeah,
More questions on the first one.
yes,
So
yes,
you're in Toronto and you got your first property in Windsor. So first
yes.
of all, like, why did you choose to go for Windsor? Why not in where you are?
Where I was in Toronto. So at that time, Toronto property prices were pretty aggressive, and my mortgage qualification with Amazon income only allowed me to get qualified for somewhere around 400,000 ish.
Okay,
Uh,
and what
yeah.
what year was this? Like
This was 2018.
2018. Okay,
End of 2018. That's the
okay.
timeline we're looking at. Yeah. So yeah, and then it allowed me to get up to that mortgage. Plus Windsor, I knew Windsor on back of my hand. Like, you can just give me street name, I can tell you what is the price, what sort of
Because you're
house.
doing the
Yeah, I was.
painting jobs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I pretty much like ran through every, never use map and Windsor. Like, that's how good we were with the streets and everything, back and forth. And that was, it was just like a safe space for me because I,
Mhm.
pretty much, in a Canadian way, like I grew up there after coming to there. So, and it was a market I already knew very well what the rental price I'm gonna be, how much cash flow it is. Plus, I already knew all the people who are doing renovation work here. So whenever I need someone, I just
So
phone
you
call
built
and.
your network here.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it. And what is the income that you are getting in that? Like, was it vacant or did you get
No,
it
it was vacant.
rented?
It was vacant.
Okay.
The property was
And
vacant. Yes.
so after you close it, like, did you rent it out for students?
Yes, right away. Yeah.
So
Within.
what was the income that you were generating?
So first, I think initial rent that we rent the property out, there was around 2,200 something
Okay,
per month.
like
Yeah.
altogether for 6 bedrooms.
Yes, altogether for 6 bedrooms.
Got it.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
are still making positive cash flow, I'm assuming.
Yes, yes. It was because I put a good chunk of it down payment. So like
Yeah.
the initial mortgage payments were pretty low.
So there is no CMHC, no
No, no, there's
insurance,
nothing. There's nothing
and
involved.
it's like
Yeah.
60%, 60,000 down in the sense like your mortgage
Correct.
is only 240. And
Correct.
at that time, the interest rates were
The
lower.
interest rate were low. I got, I think, 2.4% something at that time.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that was my interest
Do you
rate.
still own that property or you sold
Yeah,
it?
I hold that property. That's the like I sold the majority of the Windsor property, but kept that one because that one, like, now the rent on that property itself, I think it's somewhere around 3,400.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it's like it's a good chunk of cash flow positive. So I'm like,
Man, that's pretty sick. So here's one thing that I learned from your story, because a lot of new students ask me this question. Look,
hmm,
what can I do when I was a student? This is what I can tell now. For if you are a student, go find those opportunities to make income.
yeah,
Because from your story, like, honestly, I wish I started at that time.
hmm,
Um, So if you're telling yourself a reasons, what can I do?
Hmm.
Talk to Mohit.
That's yeah.
Go find those,
Definitely. Hmm.
side gigs where you can learn. First of all, that's a great type of business model that you got into it,
Yeah.
because you don't have any money to invest in.
Hmm.
You're just investing your time and energy, and
Yes.
and you're making pretty sick income, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, that's very good income. Yeah, making.
if you have to give a number, how much was the income you made in
So
your first year?
basically, whatever the revenue was, so we were making roughly 30% of it, give or take
Wow. So if it's 100,000, you're making 30,000.
30,000, and that's just 4 months.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. Like that's itself is your, complete whole semester, like your
Mm.
college tuition fees.
And not only that, you also learn how the taxes work with the businesses. How the like the
Mm.
HST part and all that. There's so many other things, and then plus at that time, government of Canada, I think it still does. It gives you summer wages as well. So if you hire students in
Mhm.
your business, government of Canada will pay 50% of their wage back to you.
That's sick. So someone watching, if you don't know what to do when you're a student, go find this kind of opportunities. And is this kind of opportunity still
Yes,
around?
it is. It is around. Yeah.
Wow.
But very few
So
international students go in there. I think I was the first or second person to did it at
yep.
that time. And once I left, I had like 4 or 5 people from Windsor who were my classmates or people who my juniors joined in that company.
I think because the what do you think was the reason why people don't go for those kind of opportunities?
So like I think a lot of international students when they come here, they keep a like they made a huge thing about the PR in their head, and they never want to take any risks. So it's like, hey man, if I
Mm.
run business, ran into some troubles, my PR would be in danger, and then I might run into this trouble with that thing, and then I ran into some troublesome people as well, but at the same time I learned to navigate through it.
Yeah.
And that's like that's the whole point of taking that risk. I think if you can take it during that student life, which you don't have a lot to lose because you pretty
Yeah.
much start from zero, and the only thing you're gaining, and then it's just like obviously challenges will come, but you have to learn to navigate through them.
Yeah. Love that, man. And also, like, I think another reason why students don't go into those is like, they want that fixed income,
Correct.
guaranteed income,
Hmm.
hourly $10. But
Yeah.
if you do the math, even if you work full time, hourly
Mhm.
$10, $2,000 a month, and probably you're making not even 10,000 in that whole summertime.
Yeah, and then by the time we left it, I knew some of my friends, and when in my second year when we finished it, I think we made close to like 60 70K close in.
Wow. It's
Yeah, with
almost
all
like
the
an IT job.
correct. So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
I
And
know, and you
and
haven't
on
even
top
finished
of it,
school yet.
yeah, and on top of it, the skills that
Oh
you're
yeah, that's
learning,
mhm,
if you're doing some kind of a labor job, what skills can you take with you? I
correct.
mean, you can take some few here and there,
Mhm,
no skills go wasted, but
mhm,
this skills, like this is a sales skill and running a business, it's something that fabulous.
correct.
I know I'm glad we dig into this because
Mhm,
so many people asking this. Like now you don't have any fucking excuses. Don't mind my words because
mhm,
don't give yourself excuses. Go find those opportunities. Okay, great. So you got your first property. Before we jump into the next,
mhm.
me asking your story, but
Yeah.
let's take some questions here.
Mhm.
Jazz, hey, Roth, your channel made me decide in investing in Windsor for my first property. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear, brother. Yes, I'm looking to buy my first home to live in 2023. Should I wait for interest rates to go down first before buying? Or what are your thoughts on fixed rate versus variable rates nowadays? So there are two different questions. I
Okay.
want you to, give your thoughts, Mohit, here, because, I always talk on my channel. So I want to hear the guest ideology on, should you wait or should you buy?
So, like, if you can buy now. Like, I never believe in these philosophies. You wait for the because you can time the market, no matter how big of expert you are. I consume tons of news on everything about finance in this world. I've never find expert who is bang on about these things. So, if your opportunities allow you to buy it, buy it. Buy the best property that you can afford, and then when you do your maths, that's what one thing allows us, like as an international student, most of us pretty good at math. So you do that basic numbers, like, hey, if interest rate tomorrow jumps up to, let's say right now it's 4.5 to 5%, jumps rate to 6%, will my cash flow positive will be impacted or not? As long as that you have that answer clear, doesn't matter, like you just go
Love
for
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, love that, man. And you never know what could happen tomorrow
Correct.
with your
Hmm.
credit, with your the cash that you saved up.
Hmm.
So if you're prepared, I mean, we're already getting pretty good discounts.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you do, work with the right people, you can even find on the discounts, you can get more discounts if you do a.
Yes.
And so if you find a right opportunity, why to wait?
Yes.
That's my thoughts too. That's, was always my mindset. No matter, we don't know, and
Yeah.
if the market still continues go down, hey, be creative, raise some money, because now
Correct.
you have experience. You
Yeah.
can easily get the money. People will trust you more because now you know what you're doing.
Yeah, if you succeed in these times, man, you'll kill it when the times turns out to be good. Like how I did it when the times turned out to be good, and I made a bank out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And he was also asking about fixed rates versus variable rates nowadays.
Yes. So fixed rate. So basically, how the fixed rate was like depends on like how like what's your flexibility. So if that math works for you, that you can handle the 6% interest rate and still be cash flow positive, I'll still tell you to go for variable. What it allows you to do the refinancing. With the fixed rates, you will only stick with HELOC, which is a good opportunity as well if you can invest it smartly. But at the same time, it's a little bit more experience stuff that matters. Like HELOC, I don't suggest see, unless you are like a seasonal investor to play around with HELOC, it can really put you into that. But yeah, if you can, like variable is always a better option compared to fix. Because I have my first property that I got a fix on it, and then after that, every other property I got variable on that, and then I just turned them around like within 6 months. Not that, and then for first property I used a HELOC for it, but then I got enough experience at that time to how to utilize the HELOC in a better way.
Yeah.
But always variable.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Only thing I would say, probably you are the your own best judge.
Yes, correct.
Can you take the risk? Because there is a risk of rates going up. With the variable, that is always there.
Yeah.
I mean, with the history, that stats shows over the period, the variable makes a lot of sense. And for investors, because we as investors, we want to have that flexibility. We don't know when we want to sell,
Mm-hmm.
because never know where the opportunities come from, and we don't know when we want to refinance. So if you want that flexibility, and if you're comfortable taking the risk, variable is the way to go. And the example that you gave, I was exactly same thing. My first property was fixed, the one I'm living in
Yeah.
was fixed, and I still the day I regret, because there was times where the rates were like went my I logged in for 3 point something, 3.2
Yeah.
or something,
Mm-hmm.
and there were points like times there were 1.2, 1.3. I could have refinanced and locked in the new rate, and I
Yeah.
could have bring down my interest rate, but I
Yes.
couldn't do it because the penalty is fucking high.
I know. I know. That's
Sure.
something I learned as well the hard way.
So that's the thing with the fixed. You
Mhm.
just make sure you are aware, and you make that decision what makes sense to you. If you can take the risk, go for variable. And of course, we are not the financial advisors, just by
Correct.
FYI.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are just random people on YouTube sharing our thoughts. So
Yes.
talk to your consultant.
Yes. Yes. No,
Let's go for
definitely.
some more questions, and
Yeah.
we'll go back to your story.
Mhm.
Um, Rocks again. Rao X. I'm 20. Credit score is in 790. Wanting to buy a house in Windsor next year. I'm working hard right now, and while having around 30,000 cash in my bank for down, is the good idea? How can I get you involved? Okay.
There you go. That's a lead for you, man.
Yes, so Rao, yes, of course. Uh, Bro, please tell me your name. Rao X sounds so sketchy. Tell me your name so I can uh, share by
Mm.
share by saying your name. But yeah, so if you already got a credit score and you already have 30,000 down, and if you have a full time job, if your job allows you to work from home, you can buy for 30,000 a lot.
Yeah.
You can
Easily.
buy a pretty good investment property
Mhm.
if you have a income job, or any stable income that you can show for your bank to qualify you for the mortgage. So if that's the case, probably you got to start looking for property. And how can you involve me? Of course, me and my team, we are real estate agents here in Windsor, Ontario, so we do help our clients to buy properties. So send us an email. I'll put you my email address and phone number. Send Reach out to us. Will either me or my agent will get in touch with you, do a introduction call, get to know you more, what your needs. Maybe if you need a context to get the pre-approval and all, we can share that all that. So If you mentor something, that would be sick. Yes, of course, me or my team. Of course, if my team is working with you, that means indirectly I'm mentoring you. Seeing the market now would be the correct time to buy first house. Heard people prices will drop again by end of this year. I think Mohit, going back to your same point, any
Yes.
more comments you want to add here?
No, I think like yeah, like if you go by that again, like there's nobody expert here, nobody has the crystal ball. People give their opinion based on if it fits their like line of sight or judgment as well. But if you think you find the right property, and then you can make it, like if it's a cash flow for you, especially if you want to do an investment property, then just go for it. Like
Yeah.
nothing is gonna change. Like what maximum interest are gonna go up by another percentage, like 1 full percent. That's the best. Like that's what people say worst case scenario. And even if it goes a little bit higher as well, as long as right now, if you can find the right cash flow property in, especially in markets like Windsor and London, it allows you to do that. It still allows you to do that. Definitely, like it's just like find the right property, go for it.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're going for a dream home paying $1 million, then
Yeah,
you got to be careful.
yeah. Then you gotta be careful.
Yeah. So, going back to your story, man. So you got your first property. Then what
Mhm.
happened? Did you run out of your money, or you're still
No, no, no.
saving up
I've
for?
since I had yeah, active income was already there from Amazon, and then I still ran the business in my third year in there, so there was still chunk of that. So how I worked is the moment I got my first property, I started working on how do I get the next one. So
Hmm.
that's where I was very close with my bank, which was the like I used to work with. So I worked with BMO and
Hmm.
RBC for a while as well. So what I
Okay.
do is like once I get the property, I've sent a message. I'm like, hey, like what if we buy the next one? How much do we need? How much income should be there to qualify? The good thing I was getting promoted with Amazon like every year as well, so that kind of bumps up me in the next bracket for the mortgage approval as well. And then I kept on doing these side gigs on the side, like hey, renovation ward, maybe not actively now, but if someone would call me, hey, I have this big commercial project, why don't you guys come and do it? And then I would call my guys, hey guys, are you still available? Like let's it's a 1 week job, why don't you like get that done, and then just make a quick 5 10K on the side. So kept doing those things, and at the same time the cash flow coming in from the first property. And then I looked into the fact and then the COVID hit at that time. So in the wind, so then I'm like, okay, now let's just acquire a second property. Started looking for it again, found one right next to the University of
So
Windsor
this
on
is in
University Avenue.
2019.
This was 2000, end of 2019 and beginning of 2020. That's the time,
Okay.
like COVID just started at that time. So
Yeah.
we started looking around in that area, and then we found another property this time. But and this time I involved my a friend who was living in my property in Windsor itself.
Hmm.
Because like once you have two properties, and it's kind of easy to manage as well. Plus he did the same college pro model after me because he was my junior. And then I'm like, okay, now you have some money, let's go to the next level, which is the investing. So involved him in there, and then so got the mortgage approval based on our incomes, and
So
then
this was your second property. You guys
this was
bought it together.
yes, in the second property, we got it together, and we got this property for around, I think at that time it was around 400 something, the
Hmm.
second one. And then after the second one, so no, no, sorry, this is my bad. I skipped one. There was another one. So
Okay.
there was the second one was the house we used to live in Windsor. When I first came in, I only lived in one house
So you
throughout the
used to
time.
rent there.
Yeah, I used to rent there.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And then we bought that property from the owner itself, private sale.
So even that one was like you purchased with your friend.
Yes, yes. My friend was living in the property, so he told me "Hey, the owner is doing some renovation in the
Mhm.
property. You want me to ask him if you wanna, if he wants to sell this property?" I'm like, "Yeah, ask him." And then he asked him like, "Hey, like, yeah, he's like, I'm gonna sell it. I'm planning to sell it." I'm like, "Hey, why don't worry about renovation. Leave it as it is. What if we buy from you?"
That's fantastic. So, here's some of the common questions I get because buying a first property is normal. You qualify for
Yeah.
400,000, you got 290,000. But how did you qualify for second property? And how much money did you put in? Or how much money did your friend put in? How did you guys qualify for the mortgage?
So second, because second property, as I said, we bought it. It wasn't, house wasn't in that great shape.
Hmm.
So and then since that's the reason why my landlord was renovating it and he was trying to sell it, so we told him stop the renovation right then and there, and then we worked on a price point. So we got that house for 230.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was 2020. It was rare to find a property of that price. And this is right like nearby university on the Randolph Avenue. was the
Hmm.
street. So me and my friend both put like 10%. So overall 20% down we put on the property, which was pretty small amount because the value of the house was less.
And how many
And
bedroom and bath was this?
so this was 2 plus 2, 5 bedroom.
Five bedroom. Wow.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And then so my like yeah, landlord wasn't like very like active in the market
Active.
trying to find the
Mhm.
value. I gave him straight up offer. I'm like, here's the thing, like it's like
No
take the
conditions,
30,
nothing.
take it or no condition whatsoever. I call my lawyer. We hire the same lawyer. We go through the
So
deal.
no
In one week,
commission
you'll
for
have
him.
your
No
money.
that's a great way to look at it, because you already know the property, you lived there,
Yes. Yeah.
and you know what it needed. That's
Hmm.
fantastic. Okay, so what happened next?
And even gets better after that. So we had our landlord. So we made a deal with him. I'm like, we
Mhm.
buy property for 230, but we'll pay you 5K more as long as we buy the material, but you complete this renovation. So 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 he did the entire renovation, flooring,
For
everything else that was
5,000.
for 5,000. We bought the material, and that was his labor cost. And this was a condition of the sale that we had in. I'm like, okay, so just do this part, and then he helped us out a lot. So he
Wow.
renovated the house single-handedly. Like we helped him out, especially my friend who was in the house. He helped for the most part with him, and then pretty much we learned a lot from him how to renovate his house. Like he was a pretty hands-on guy, so pretty much A to Z interior of the house completely turn around. 230 deal gets closed, and then we were around again $1,000 cash flow positive on this house as well.
Wow. So, tell me this, like, why do you think he actually sold it to you for a good price? Like, he was
Convenience,
hmm,
convenience,
convenient,
convenience. Correct.
because I believe you also had a good relation with him.
Yes, yes, we are very good. Like from the beginning itself, like everyone whom I work with, be it my tenant so far or my landlord, I always make sure, like I maintain a great relationship. Like things go up and down, but always at the end of the day, you be the bigger guy. If you have to apologize, you apologize, but make sure
Yeah.
your relationship doesn't suffer because of that. And then just keep like whatever. Like with me, my experience, the one thing that I do is I always try to add value to someone if they are talking to me about anything based on my knowledge, and people kind of appreciate that, and that's where you initiate those value added relations. And that was the one thing, like because I asked, because I knew he wanted to get rid of the property for a while.
Yeah.
So I told him like, hey, why do you go through the hassle of renovating the whole thing, getting a person there, they'll charge you realtor fee as well. Why don't we just make a deal, make it super easy for you? You need the money, I'll get the money within a week.
And was it like a market value or under market?
No, no idea. No idea
No
whatsoever.
idea at that point.
No idea. No. I knew some
That's
houses were selling at that point in that range, but it was like they were all like 300, upper 300s.
hmm.
But we are like, okay, I'm like, you don't have to renovate the property, no have to market it or
Here has
anything.
its condition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I don't know he might have spoken to some realtors as well at that time. They might have
I'm pretty
whatever they
sure,
suggested
they
him.
would have he would have
Yeah.
known what's the value is.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. So we offered him this straight up. There was no negotiations involved in it other than that renovation piece we did, and then
Yeah.
straight up we got the house.
So he's saving time and all
Correct.
the hustle.
All the hassle. Yeah.
Yeah, and for you guys, you already know the property. That's fantastic.
Hmm.
So, and did you had any issues with the qualifying for the mortgage?
No, second no, because like as I said, like my income kept going up every
And
time
you're
with
still
my
showing the income from this property.
correct, correct. The
And
property
even
income.
your first property was
Yes.
also rented by
Yeah,
this
he was
property.
rented out as well. So everything it was cash flow positive plus again this property. On top of that, my personal income was already over six figures within a year or so. So it was
Yeah.
very easy for qualifying. Plus I added my friend as well in that scenario. So like that kind of helps a lot.
Looks
And then
like
so
your
the
friend is watching live here.
yes, 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 I
Suraj,
can
yeah,
see.
that's hey
Yeah.
Suraj.
I know.
Thank you for joining us. Glad to hear that. That's a great way, man.
Mm.
You're not only just doing favor for yourself, you're also involving your friends. That's a great
Yeah.
way to grow together, right?
Mhm.
Personally, even like my third property was with my cousin's
Mm.
friend, whom we became friends, and um I was getting all the mortgage, I was getting the deal and everything, and he was paying me the money because I didn't had money. So we were
Yeah.
like doing a JV partnership as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
like a great win-win, because when you involve someone whom you trust.
Mhm.
So is there anything that you can add on the partnership side? Because there are a lot of people who want to do with the partnership, but
Mhm.
they're afraid the partnership can go sideways.
Yes, so definitely, like it has to work both ways for both of you. First of all, you have to be very clear whom you are involving. Unless you are going with those like proper JP partners, 5 year, then they box out of the deal. You keep all the equity. But in this case, like you go with the mindset, especially if you are going with a friend or someone. First of all, like what are their priorities with the investment property? Are they
Yeah.
someone who might want this money back in a year or so, or are they aligned with your goals? Is like, hey, we hold this property for the long term unless we absolutely have to sell it, or we get too good of a deal that we can say no to, we keep this property.
Yeah.
And then that has to be like like you have to have that clarity of mindset with your, like whosoever is your, be it your friend or family member as well. And then as long as you have that clarity piece, and then you both have to have certain amount of strength. So in our case, like my friend like Suraj, he's very good with, like he's very hands on, like he can, like if he can figure out, he can walk into a house and tell you where we can make like value added, where we can add an extra room and all that stuff. So very good at that part. And then we both went through the same system, which is the College Pro. So kind of like our mindset, my set of mind about the things were very similar. So it was easy to get aligned on our long term and short term goals in that way. So I think that's a good way to look at it. If you have done similar kind of businesses and you've been both successful at it, so it's very easy for you to be in that comfort zone with each other.
And both have that entrepreneur mindset,
Correct.
where we are investing money. We are not like,
Yeah.
buying this for just for the sake.
Yes.
I love those tips, man. I'm glad you mentioned, about the partnership, because a lot of people go sideways in this here
Yes.
because they think very short term,
Hmm.
and very short term can give you a lot of headaches.
Yeah, oh, yeah, easily. Yeah, like especially if you don't, like if someone is like, hey, I'm not, if it's not in for the long term, and your vision doesn't allow in about the property or the investment, like it's you then you are doomed. Like then
Yeah.
yeah, then go ahead with the timing the market part.
Yeah, even I heard some stories where they didn't talk about all these things because they one guy had 10%, the other guy has another 10%. They thought,
Mhm.
oh, you have money, I have money, let's go
Mhm.
buy together. And I heard like some people back out even
Yeah.
before closing.
Mhm.
The other guy had to take all the risk. Or
Yeah.
some people, once they close it and there is some little things come up, because real estate, man, there is always
Yeah.
so
There's
many
always
things
gonna
will
be
come up,
problem. Yeah.
and the little things come up and they want to sell. Now the
Mhm.
stress sale
Yeah.
where they lose money, end up losing money. So that does happen. So that's a great thing. Like, if you're working with your friend or anyone, family,
Mhm.
if you both are, a vision is aligned, like, if you both have same goal, and also like discuss on the what should you do if there is any worst thing happen.
Yeah.
If one of you want money to sell, then what are the exit
Yeah.
options? Hey,
Mhm.
maybe you give option to other partner to buy at the market value. That could
Mhm.
be one option. Or
Yeah.
we both try to sell them at the market value. If you couldn't sell, then what would we do?
Yeah.
So if you talk all those things, then it's actually more fun to invest with the friends and family.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. As long as, yeah, like there has to be some sort of clarity and plan B's and A's in place, because if someone can need money, there's like nothing wrong with that part as well. But do you have a plan in case that happens? Like in
Yep.
our cases, we had it because we knew like property, if we could do the refinancing, we'll get the money out if we really need to. But other than that, like, but it never happened. So in our case, but we had that plan in back of my hand, because I really worked this how the mortgages work, how what kind of income you need, that part with my
Mhm.
bank. And I'm gotten really good at that point. So I knew like based on my income, my friend's income, how much will qualify for next. So it kind of, and that's where the cycle started of buying more and more.
Awesome. So you got your second one. That is also student
Yeah.
rental. That is also positive cash flow.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what happened next?
So next one, and then so then in the meantime, like what was happening with my regular Amazon work, so I got an opportunity to launch Amazon building in Alberta. So I went there. I initially was planned for like just come back within a year. So I went there, launched a building in Edmonton, stayed there for a good like 9 to 10 months, and then came back from there. And then once I came back, I was had set on, like I had a lot, like pretty much saved everything over there from my regular income, which was I
Mhm.
was making a good amount in there as well, and plus the cash flow from these property. Now we have already worked on, okay, let's just buy another property. So this time we wanted to do a, like, let's just try the Burr method. We buy a property, we'll add some
Yeah.
value to it and then flip it. And then we ended up in our third property, which is that University Avenue one. I think it was one of the like nicest house I've ever bought for 500,000. We got this one in I think it was in mid of I think in the beginning of 2021 or end of
Mhm.
2020 exactly. I don't remember the time frame. But then I go again went to the bank. At that time, I again got promoted with Amazon, so kind of helped me qualify for another one. So again, I carried my friend with me. I'm like, hey dude, like, let's just, work out the numbers on this one as well. We wanted to refinance our old properties at that time, but we ended up having enough money through our own incomes regular, because we just had like a few months
So at
gap.
this point, you didn't even refinance your existing
No,
properties.
there was no need for it. Yeah. So we
Mhm.
ended up gathering again 20%. We went in with 20% again, and then that time real estate interest rate hits the like pretty low. So we were at I think variable. We got it for variable 1.5% something for half a million property. That property, and then that one was a cash. That was the best cash flow we had among all our property.
Oh,
That
wow. So
property. Yeah.
what was, can you give us a
Yeah.
little bit more details of
So
that
that
deal?
yeah, so that property had a basement with separate entrance. It's a corner lot, so obviously
Hmm.
you have entrances from both the sides, and then the basement was fully furnished, but there was no rooms in it. So there was two big holes on both sides of the basement once you enter through the separate way, and then on upstairs there was an office room which is big enough to make a bigger room itself, and then there were two rooms on the same floor, and then a huge open living space along with the kitchen, and then there was a upstairs itself was like a pretty big like massive the master bedroom in
Hmm.
there. Yeah, it's on like with the bathroom attached to it. So and then we just looked into like, hey, how can we add into it, how can we add more rooms into it? So one was obviously office. We just put a door there ready to go. In basement we put around close to $20,000 overall to make three rooms out of it, add a kitchen there, and it was already a separate entrance. So very well, I think ceiling height was somewhere close to like 9 feet or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a nice basement, man. It was a nice, and it was never used before. Like
So it
so,
was unfinished
it,
basement.
so it was finished, but without the room itself. So that
Okay,
kind of
got
makes
it. So it
sense.
was just the
So
drywall
there was a
and
bathroom there, and so we didn't have to do the bathroom part. Everything else we added onto it, but it was like that was like between $20,000. We pretty much added a entire kitchen along with cabinets, and then built up three rooms in there as well.
wow.
Yeah.
So and what was the rent at that time for the property? Like,
So yeah, rent kind of starts. So at that time, there was like COVID was at the peak. There wasn't a lot of students, but there were some international students that were there. So initially, our mortgage I think comes out to be after 20%. We were paying with everything included, insurance, so like close to $2,000 on that property, and our rental income was somewhere around 3,200 something to start with. Yeah,
awesome. And so you're more focusing on the cash flowing
class.
properties that are like you
Yeah.
student
Yes.
rentals pretty much.
Yeah. So the goal was to flip on this property, but then we ended up liking it so much. I'm like, okay, let's just keep it. Cash flow positive. It's nice appreciation, very nice location. I'm like, just keep it. Yeah. And then at that time, these are like at that time, like they were like it was COVID peak. There wasn't a lot of enough students in there, so rental
Mhm.
market was kind of depressed at
Like
that
slow,
time.
yeah.
I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, like if in the slow market for the rental, we still have cash flow positive, we just hold on to it. Like there was no like we weren't in rush of like, hey, we really need the cash for anything. I'm like, we'll just hold on to it. So at that and after that, and then so that's that property. So that's the third one we got in Windsor, and then
So
then we
even
moved.
for the third one, sorry, before you go to the
Yeah.
next one, even for the third one, like the mortgage qualification had no
Mhm.
impact.
No, no. As I said, like now my income with my regular job was touching almost
Is
165.
okay. So the 165 there, and also your two other properties also making
Yeah,
income.
that property also, and plus my like my like partner is there as well. So that
Okay.
kind of,
So and he was also working full time
yeah, he
by
was
this time.
working full time at the same time he was running businesses as well. He
Oh, wow.
continued that.
So
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 he
you
continued
guys
with
have
civil works.
already,
Yeah, yeah.
wow. So you guys already having a solid active income
Yes.
plus active income from the existing one. So you haven't bought any dream homes at this point.
No, no, no.
No,
Now
no,
after this, the
no
dream homes.
liabilities at this point.
No liabilities at this point. Yes.
Man, that's a great story that what you shared so far. Because look, how many people that I see, they come and first thing they do is like buy a nice car and buy a nice home.
Mhm.
Of course, your qualification gone down, and you're not focusing on increasing your active income.
Yeah.
So, and of course, it will become challenging to buy your first, second property and third property, because once you bought your first property for a maximum value like 500, 600, 700,
Yeah.
whatever
Hmm.
your qualification is,
Hmm.
and that is not making money for you. And kind of I started in the same similar journey. Only
Yeah.
difference is I didn't had that much active income. I
Yeah.
was doing all the 5% down concepts. uh,
We were active income really helped us in this way, because mine was with my everything included going little over 200,000, and then my friend was also contributing at the same time. He was running his active businesses, and plus I really figured out like how the mortgage part works. So let's say if your mortgage is $1,000, if your rental income is double of that, it kind of cancels pretty much all your debts. So like,
Yeah.
you know, and that, so I had a very good relation with my banking, like folks in the bank. So I already dealt with like a lenders, like just the banks itself, and they usually give me like a pretty good handle, like, hey, walk me through the entire plan of buying. So when we close this property, I'll ask them, hey, like, what's about the, like, what we do the next one? She's like, okay, do this is in this property if you want to be qualified after 6 months again.
Yeah,
So
that's very smart, because that's exactly what I used to do. Like, because the more knowledge you have on the
yeah.
mortgage side and how it works, then it's easier. You don't get dried up with these
Correct.
mortgages.
Mhm.
And by this time, like, do you guys still buying on your personal name, or you guys using a
No, it
corporation?
was at this point, yeah, we were still a corporation, but then we moved on towards the corporation point. Like this time, it just everything was personal at this point, because we were like the plan was, and then eventually we ended up selling our property, the second property that we bought for in a private sale. We ended
Hmm.
up selling that property. I think we hold on to it for like a good 8-9 months or so.
Hmm.
So by the way, time closing and everything, so we held it a little over a year, and then made almost 150 on
Wow.
it.
So that is like net income, not the
Yeah,
gross.
yeah. So that's so then we sold. So we got it for 230. I think sold it for around three. Roughly, what would the number, like 360 or some 360 or 65 ish at that time. That's when we sold. Like I didn't want to sell it because it was just very good cash flow out of it. But at that time, I wanted to buy now. So my friend, he wasn't in a situation where he needed a personal house, because I
Mhm.
wanted a situation because I was starting a family and my parents were planning to come to Canada as well.
Got
So
it.
then I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, then I was still working out of GTA, and we were investing in Windsor heavily. And that's when we like, okay, now we gotta turn switch around, like see what moves we need to make in order to acquire a property in Kitchener.
Hmm. So that's when, like, you sold that property and now you got into Kitchener.
Yes, I got into Kitchener. So I bought my first. So this was like when the market activity really peaked. GTA was already hot during that time. Like it was very hard to get into the properties. So I kind of started. I'm like, okay, can I buy one in Mississauga? And then I looked around.
So
I'm
is
like,
this
nah.
like in 2020?
This was like end of 2020, beginning of 2021.
Yeah,
That
when the
kind of
market
time.
was like pretty hot.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. Yeah, at that time. So it was harder to get into somewhere in GT because I wanted to buy in GT at that time. And then the cash flow, I like, because I was still looking for like, hey, like I would want to buy a property which has a basement with separate entrance.
Hmm.
So at least if not, it should cover 30% of my mortgage, if not more. Yeah. So that was the goal always. So that way I don't have to, like, it's harder to, because then, because with my, as I said, the bank gave me really clear idea, like, hey, if you do this way, kind of
You
becomes
can
easier,
still
and you can get,
qualify for more
you can
mortgages.
get qualify for more mortgage and all that part. So that's, and then we just got rid of one property already, so that kind of helps with like reducing your debt as well. And we never bought any other thing other than the mortgage on our which adds to our debt, like for example car or anything. Everything was
Yeah.
on cash. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's insane. So that's so far, if anyone watching this, if you love this, personally, I'm very impressed, because I wish I know all these things when I was a student, because this is a great mindset and the great strategies to follow. You're just focusing on the active income. You're not putting any liabilities on you, any mortgages, any car payments. You're saving up the max possible by this time.
Correct.
And
Yep.
this is, you're still like third year in Canada, fourth year in Canada.
Yeah, fourth year in Canada. Yeah.
So you have a long way to go. You're just focusing on that financial freedom, in my opinion. you
Yes,
know
yes, definitely. Like that was a huge piece of it anyway. Like, cause plan was always like, hey, we'll buy our property to live in a way. Cause at that point, like I had like three properties or so. I was still living on a rental property myself, like in GTA. And like people used to ask me, like, dude, why don't you just buy for yourself? I'm like, I don't really need it right now because I'm just by myself. Once I have
yeah.
family, that's when I need the house and I'll get it. But then that's how eventually things ended up working out as well.
Okay, so what happened? Like, so with your fourth
So
property?
yeah, so we got the fourth one in Kitchener,
Hmm.
and then it was a detached house, again the corner lot with the separate entrance basement, and then we got it for little over 900,000 at that time.
Wow.
And yeah, So at that time, like even like it was crazy, man. I got beaten up on like I think 10 properties.
Yeah, that time, yeah, the market was crazy.
I
Yeah.
know. And
And
then
did you even put 20% down on this one?
on that, yes, then I refinanced one of my properties because then one we sold out, and then the other one,
Okay,
yeah. So then I had, so my first property I got the HELOC out of it because that value pretty much doubled.
got
The
it.
very first property.
You had it,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Now,
So
yeah,
you're
now
utilizing your equity from there, and now you bought this property, and this
yeah.
was your house hack that you
Yeah,
did.
this was like that. That was my house. So in the set, so I got my, so first one I got the HELOC. So HELOC was roughly 250,000, which is still
Wow.
there. Like I paid it back right away. So what we did in this one, we put the 20% down on this
Mhm.
property, acquired it, and then rented out the basement. So basement and kitchen. And I didn't know, man. Kitchen at that time I was new to Kitchener as well. So never been through the city. Just bought a house here because I was working out of Mississauga. So kind of easy to commute from, like 1 hour. It's roughly 45 minutes of commute or so. I'm like, okay, like it's a long commute, but I'll figure it out. And then once we, so we did the maths on this property, how much it's going to cost based on the current interest rate at that time. I'm like, okay, it's just doesn't, not like if I just see the cash flow on my other properties, I don't have to put anything from my own pocket to sustain it month to
So
month.
cash flow plus your income from this
Correct.
basement.
Yes, basement. 'Cause basement, we rented out like in, especially when I see the kitchen and like this basement is just 1 bedroom basement. We rented it out for like 1600 ish. Wow,
Wow.
this is like I'm like this is where I should be investing in now. This makes more sense rent wise. But
But the
again, the
mortgage
price is
also heavier, right? Like,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, your mortgage is also heavy, like And then at that time, like when we started like buying here, I like you have to compete so much for the property in Windsor. I was just the only one, and it was easy to negotiate and whatnot. And at that, by this time, I already learned a lot about mortgages, how the buying selling property works. And then I'm like, okay, this is, so then we got the Kitchener property. Like it's just the family came in here, everything started, and then we got into the, then we came across opportunity. So then we like, okay, now let's just buy. So then we started. I'm like rental income is very strong in London and Kitchener area. So I started
Mhm.
exploring these area along with my friend. So my friend also moved from Windsor to London at that time, and then he told me
Okay.
like, man, London market is even crazier. It should invest something in there. So then eventually the came, so while we were working in the Kitchener property, and I'm like, okay, let's just now, like, what is one thing that's holding us back from expanding is like, how do you increase your active income? How do you
Yeah.
keep qualifying more and more? Like, great, we can refinance it, but at some point, because when you refinance, it's again adding on to your debt. But like active income, we are stuck at around, both of us combined, somewhere between 250k per year, or maybe like a little over that. But it's just kind of now, you're maxed out on your debt ratios and everything. So that's when we like, okay, now we got to buy a business which has a huge income potential, and we
Mhm.
can grow, add more value to it. So that's when we got into like, okay, started looking around like what businesses we can buy. And then because in businesses we realize, oh, you don't have to qualify on your own income, you just have to figure
Yes,
out the
business
down
has to
payment part.
qualify. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's when we started looking into the businesses part. So I don't know if you want me to get started on the business.
Yeah, yeah. Again, so that's something, not many of my guests talk on this side of
Yeah,
a journey, because, active income is something that I believe are crucial, because,
yeah,
even in my journey, like without active income, I was not able to get the investment
correct.
properties that I
Mhm,
wanted to,
mhm.
because, my job income was like, damn, 80,000. I couldn't increase. My raises were like, my boss said, I'm not going to increase the raise.
Mhm.
So, I know that was not possibility. And that's when I got into sales.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, yeah. So tell us what was your
So when
what
we
what did
started
you
looking
achieve?
for businesses, so we were like, okay, what is the maximum cash flow? So usually how businesses were looking at, like, hey, how is the valuation of the business calculated? So based on different kinds of businesses, but if you're buying active business, usually they go by 10% cap rate. So if 10 to 12%, that's what usually lie around. If it's a good business, bank will fund it as well. But some like, okay, based on that, like how much income it makes. And then someone came up with this, like I was meeting some of my friends, they like, so I met this guy who runs he has like 10 gas stations or so.
Mhm.
And then we started talking to him, and he told me how he started his journey, and then the kind of cash flow he has, and how he sells his business. And then I was like, how do you add value to business? You increase the income of it, and then just the valuation freaking, it goes up by a lot. I'm like, man, this is a pretty good one. Then and then I started looking into it. And buying a business is a long process itself, and it just requires a lot more patience.
So did you got already something in your hand?
Yes, yes. Now, so we started. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get her into a gas station, and then
Okay.
I started looking around because it has to be closer to where you live as well. So now we wanted to look somewhere between like, okay, Kitchener to London, and then you just draw a like a, like a like in that radius or circumference, however you want to say it, in that area, as long as it's easy to commute as well. Plus and then that, because my family was here, so that way we can involve some of our family members as well in day-to-day running of it, so they kind of don't feel like they have nothing else to do here. So it's just kind of making in that way. So then we came across this business in it was in Tilsonburg. So first we looked up one in Kitchener, that didn't work out, so then we went after this Kitchener one, 3.6 million. And then again, we like, bank was at that time, we were RBC. So RBC was saying like, hey,
So
like,
3.6 million for the whole business plus the
with the land, with the land,
with the
yeah.
land. Okay,
Yes,
got it.
yeah, with the land, yeah. And then the cap rate was coming out to be around 11 to 12%. And then so I'm like, okay, like, this is something, we looked into the numbers, how we can. I'm like, okay, we gotta get rid of this house which we got recently, the Windsor one, the University Avenue one, and then see if we just refinance every other property that we have, or use the HELOC from the first property at that time, max out that part as well. So what I did with my current house that I got, the Kitchener one, so I refinanced it within few months, and then that time market was still at peak, refinance it, and then got like almost 200 out of it. So refinance this property, refinance the like the Windsor one, the Windsor property as well. And then, so just doing the numbers math, how can we go up to that 30% down payment part? And then
For
we
the
ended up,
business. Mhm.
yeah, then we ended up involving, so then we realized, okay, we need another partner, because the sum was, we were looking at closer to $1 million, and that's just a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money to raise. So, and then I'm like, we ended up reaching out to one of our other relative friends in who hail from Brampton. So they were like planning some sort of like, hey, how can we retire now? We don't want to work actively. I'm like, hey, like, there's something I like,
Yes.
you guys can come in, like, we'll run the business actively for you guys. You can come in, work in there wherever, for how many hours you want to. At the same time, we'll take care of the activities of the business. We'll like, we'll figure out how to increase the revenue of the business. And then all you guys have to do is like, like, because I knew value of their house and how much it has gone up during the pandemic. I'm like, all you have to do is just,
So they have the equity.
yeah, you have the equity sitting in there, and you guys just like, let's just do it. So then brought them on board. So ended up
So
like,
now
and then
did you already close it?
so it's in the very last stages of it, but we acquired everything. Like, the banking part took a long time for us, because there were so many refinances involved in it.
Wow.
That comes up with so many challenges. I pretty much ended up, now I know everything about the mortgage part of it. I just don't have a license, but I think I'm very close to it in terms of knowledge and everything about it. So then, yeah, we ended up selling one of our properties in Windsor, the university one as well. That
Yeah.
one we got for half a mil. We sold it for almost uh, 900, and that too, like, within, like,
And look at the power of the investing
yeah.
helped you to get into the next
Oh yeah,
stage.
definitely, yeah. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to, yeah.
If you were not investing, if you are just focusing on your active income, would you be able to get into
Oh,
this
no
big
way, no
business?
way. Never. We wouldn't even think about it. The reason why I started thinking about, like, because once you see, like, I want to buy a business for like 3.6 million, you have to raise over $1 million. Like, and you just stop right there if you don't have these means. Because I had these means and I knew the valuation of the property in back of my head. I used to always look up like what sort of values in the market right now for the properties. And then that's how we like, okay, we refinance this property, we sell this one, we do the HELOC on this one, then we refinance our other partner's property, and that's how the numbers worked out. But it took us few months to figure this part
To
out.
figure out,
But
yeah.
yeah, eventually we figured it
And
out. Now we are very close to, like, get the closing done on that, and then hopefully get the
kudos to you,
whole
man. That's very smart. And just I'm assuming you're still under 30.
28.
20, yeah, so 28 and doing it where you are, like, that's insane. And whoever watching this, there's a lot to learn. Go rewatch it. Let's quickly take some quick questions. It's already like 8.
Yeah.
Time is just passing by, actually getting to know you more. So I'm really surprised with what you all achieved so far, and I strongly believe there is a lot more you can achieve. And someone from your family here, whole family is here. Lots of love from family. I'm assuming you're better half.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best part, to have the better half on your side.
Yes,
That's a
definitely. They do
powerful
well.
power team. There you go.
Uh,
Vivek, hi sir, Vivek from Punjab. Currently, I'm in UK. So, can I do some business model, same business model in UK?
it's like, man, I'm not
But
sure. I'm pretty good with US and Canada. I'm not sure UK, but I'm sure there's similar companies that do it. But even if you don't get a company to do it yourself, man. Like, like it's not that far. Like, like what
yeah,
do they people like especially like nowadays. I think I was talking to this
yeah.
guy yesterday, a student. I'm like, he's like, hey, I don't want to go through the company. I'm like, hey, do you know how to cut a grass? He's like, I'm like, if I get you a machine, it costs me $1,000. I'll get you all the machine, you put a flyer, and I'll tell you neighborhood, and you just go dump the flyer every week there. You'll get calls, and this is like you get the same people will call you back every month, because that's how the business goes with grass cutting. I'm like, you just start that, like, I'll invest in your business. You just give me on a 30% royalty deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's how simple it is, but
yeah,
people don't
oh
think
yeah,
through, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
where the
definitely.
mindset
Like,
come into
mm,
picture. Because if you're with a mindset of like, oh, instead of like, oh, I cannot do this, then you would not never
yeah,
do it.
then your mind will create thousand things why you
Yeah,
should do it. Yeah.
but what you just said, like, if you don't want to invest your money, someone like
Mhm.
you or
Mhm.
said, like, they can pay the royalty. But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you just ask yourself a question, like, or ask other people, hey, how
Mhm.
other people are doing this? How are they doing it? How can I do it? Now
Mhm.
you start to see more opportunities. I'm assuming you did the same thing for your business, right? How can I
Yes.
bring this $1 million?
Yeah. No, like, yeah, you start from a point like, hey, this is where what I need to go. Now you figure out a way. And if you have made those investments in real estate, that's your tool that will get you there. Like,
Yeah,
it's all like, how Steve Jobs said, like, it's easy to connect the dots by looking, by looking back at it, but when you keep going around. And that's one thing I'll just always go out and like, meet these people who are doing something. You'll end up in a much better place than you were today if you don't take those actions. Like, I
love that.
remember, yeah, I remember, like, I like, whenever I get a chance to go to any sort of seminar, conference, I just go there. Like, there's multi conference that I'm attending, because that's the next step we want to take from once we like go through to set up the business very well. And then I forgot to tell you, I by the time I was doing all this, and then I'm like, okay, let me just get my realtor license as well, because I do so much real estate. Let me
So
get
now,
that.
now you're still working full time
No,
and
no,
you
no.
got your.
Yeah, no, I got my license as well. I already did my first few deals. I just got into almost a month and a half now. Started
Okay.
with, yeah, yeah.
And
Started with,
are you still working full time?
no, no, no. Now I've taken a break from it.
Okay, okay. I'm
It
like,
became
are you
it
a
became
machine
very
or
demanding.
a human, man? That's a lot of
No, 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 no. I've taken a
activities.
break.
But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now you're
That's
full time into real estate and doing the business and
yeah. I'm
work.
full time into real estate, because once
And
I
which
started, I'm
area are
like,
you practicing?
so I'm practicing. So basically, we are focused more from the investment point of view, as in GTA, because that's where most of my connections were from my
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Those are the people I started with. And then since I'm based out of Kitchener, so I'm expanding here, like targeting like super niche, like market, the way that's like the place I live in. I like pretty much mapped out 500 houses here. How we gonna go through the flyer part, and then the social media part. So all that part is going on.
Mhm.
But because I'm still new to it, and I already had few people, like, few deals came in right away, because everyone knew I used to talk about real estate from last few years. So they were
Yeah.
just, they were right there. I never took the advantage of that opportunity. But
So,
now, like,
when you're already doing it, right? Like,
yeah,
it's easier because you already have the freaking same, all the knowledge that you need, and you
yes,
have done it multiple times. People
yeah,
have seen it,
yeah,
and for them to trust you is way more easier
it's way more
than
easier.
trusting
Correct.
someone who with zero knowledge.
Yes, especially like now, like whenever, like, whosoever clients I've worked with so far in a month and a half, a lot of people from my workplace, like, never have to sell anything with them. They trust me with like they just tell me like, hey, tell me what do you want to do, how we should do it, and then we walk in. I share the same strategy that I have done, and then like, it's just like, okay, like, if you're saying it, it's, it's like we trust you in the process.
There you go. That's a big part. You already gained the trust. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you'll have a solid success in the sales as well,
Yeah.
because with the knowledge that you have, man,
Mhm.
I can tell you, like, it's insane. So just let's get to some quick questions and then we
Yes.
can wrap it.
Sure.
So someone, nature girl, wants to get into real estate investing but reside in Montreal. So what do you mean you reside in Montreal? There are
I
no
think she lives
opportunities.
in Montreal right now, probably.
So maybe I gotta look at more questions here. She might ask more question at the bottom. No matter where you're living, there is always opportunities everywhere.
Yes.
Every
Yeah. Especially in Quebec market, I think you can find a lot of good opportunities to invest there as well. If you live in Montreal, figure out a way to do Airbnb. I heard that's pretty good there.
Yeah, there you go. See, you got to look at what's working in that in that
Yeah.
market. If you go for some networking events in that area, or if you go meet some investor realtors, then you will know more strategies, more ideas, and then you can go invest. So that's the first step I would suggest doing it. Dinesh, how can I contact you? Oh, I think this is a question for me. Bro, if you're trying to contact me, I put the email address and phone number in there, and phone number will work during the working hours because I don't work after working hours. Even my team, the employees, doesn't work after working hours. But please send us an email. My team will get in touch with you. On next day immediately, as soon as we see the email message, will get in touch with you, put you in touch with either me or my agent. We'll go from there. He doesn't stop. I think I love to see that, your power team here. You know what, that's fantastic, man. That's another thing, right? Like
I know.
having your better half on your side
Hmm.
helps a lot. I can tell that, because my wife is the same. Like she will be the first one to comment whenever
Yeah.
I do something. Now we are expecting a baby. She's at the last trimester, so she's
Oh,
busy
congratulations.
with that, or else she would be the first one to watch the live.
Yeah.
So I love to see that.
Hmm.
How can I refinance a mortgage as a first time home buyer a year or more? Do you want to add your thoughts
Yes,
in here?
yes, yes. So for refinancing works in a way like what's the valuation of your property. So basically, like if you know the like it's very easy to figure out how much your house is worth. You just check, go through some of the websites, Zolo, which shows you the recent sold in the area. If it's similar to your house, you know the kind of value of your house. And if you think your house value has gone up based on how much down payment you put, bank is willing to give you like 80% of it. So especially first of all, you have to be in variable mortgage in order to do that. And if you do that, you figure out what's the value of your house. If you can do it, reach out to a realtor. I'm pretty sure no
Yeah,
one will say no to that part. Like they just tell you like what's the roughly value. You don't even have to go to the bank. You can figure these out things yourself. And if you see the 80%, after that 80% left over, you have some money left. That's your refinance value. Bank will do the exact same equation, but they just do it in a more formal value. If you think it makes sense to you informally, money is there, then yeah, then approach your bank and then have them do the official refinance.
there you go. And Dinesh was asking, like, I'm under work permit, can I still buy? Yes, you can still buy, but in Ontario, you have to come up with a foreign buyer tax. And if you get your permanent residency, you can claim that back within 4 years. So yes, or there are provinces, I believe Alberta doesn't have a foreign buyer tax, and there is some other province that doesn't have foreign buyer tax. So look into that if you don't want to, if you don't have enough funds for the foreign buyer tax on top of the down payment. That's a lot of money. So
Yeah.
let's take a final question here. I think it's the same question, Dinesh. Does PGW work permit holder can purchase a home? Yes. What is the way? It's a regular process. Just a extra, you have to come up with that 20% down that we mentioned just now. Um, can we do say a real estate strategy
Yeah,
in US
even
also?
better. Even better.
You can exactly. Shailaja Reddy, honestly, a lot of Canadians love to invest in real estate because in US because there is a lot more opportunities. The US market is much bigger, and the inventory is much higher. You there is like very much opportunities over there.
Yeah,
There
just
is a
follow
lot of
the
networking.
yeah, just follow the bigger pockets and
There
then
you
just
go.
do the exact same thing they say in US. I love that market. I'm just getting my citizenship probably by the end of next month or so, and I'm definitely going to invest something in US. My sister lives there, so I already have some roots there. But I'm definitely gonna make some like either
Yep.
buy like make some business investments there or definitely into real estate.
Yeah, as of now, I already passively invested in Miami on a project.
Oh, that's
Um,
even better, man. See,
yeah, like again, I'm a cash investor.
yeah,
My friend is the one who is actively doing the business,
yep.
but again, as Canadians, a lot of Canadians love to
Oh, yeah,
invest in there.
love, especially in today's environment, like they love to go to US and then invest in
Yeah,
there.
especially if
Yeah,
you're living in US,
yeah,
then
even
there you
better.
go. You can find a lot of opportunities there. Nature, I'm waiting to get my PR. Can I cannot bear the 20% down. That's fair enough. 5% is okay unless I'm buying with someone where the down payment is shared. There you go. You got your problems and you got your
Yeah.
solutions.
So,
There you go. That's the power of listening to other stories, right?
yeah.
So glad to see you're already figuring out your
Mhm.
solutions, coming up with a partner.
Yeah.
If your partner actually holds 51%, they will, if they have a permanent residency, then you can do it. You guys are knowledgeable in real estate investment. Glad to hear. Please, what is the name again in Quebec?
What name?
Not sure if we are talking. Which name are you talking about? I think that's all the questions. If there is which name, let us know in the comments below you're looking for. I don't think we talked about any specific names in Quebec. We just said Airbnb. That's the name.
Airbnb, yeah, in Montreal especially. Like, yeah,
Montreal, that is
if you
working
can
out
afford
well.
to do it, yeah.
But again, go look
Mhm.
out some
Yeah,
networking opportunities.
definitely.
Man,
And
it's really I'm glad you're here, and it's really fantastic to learn about your journey. There's a lot of learning, and someone watching this, I think, especially if you're a newbie, you gotta rewatch this. You gotta digest the information. And where can people find you if
so
someone
yeah,
wants
they can
to?
reach out to me on Instagram and LinkedIn. That's the two platform I'm mostly active on.
Perfect.
So
That's already in
Instagram, yeah,
the description that you can
yep,
find his Instagram and all.
yeah.
So you can see his Instagram handle on in the description. Um, but yeah, man, I wish you the best with your business.
Thank you.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it's gonna go well.
yeah.
And maybe we'll talk. Sometimes we'll catch up for a coffee when I'm in
Yes,
that
yes.
area.
Yeah, yeah. Sure, man. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank
Have a
you. Thank you,
wonderful
Aditya.
evening, and
Yeah.
thank you for your time.
No
Thank you
problem.
everyone for watching. If you still haven't hit that like button and subscribe button, please do so. If you already got a lot of value, give back a little bit. That would help you to feel fulfilled. So,
Yeah.
and go follow Mohit, for more information. And of course, if you want to learn his business, how it's going, go hit him and DM him for more mentorship and all. So awesome, buddy. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Take care.